Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Unblocked Podcast Network. I am Coach here with Brian and our special guest, David Morris. But before we get to David, please follow us on all of our social media. We're on everything. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, everywhere you can possibly find us, we're there. So please do all those things. We'd appreciate it. We're thrilled to have David Morris from Quarterback Country with us today from Mobile, Alabama. We'll turn it over to Brian and let Brian get this thing rolling.
I'll tell you, David, you got a nice facility here, and if my shoulder was better, we'd be out throwing the football later. But
I like it.
I feel like I've known you for a long time, David. Watched you grow up. Going through coached against you one year while I was at Murphy. I'm not sure who painted the cannon that year, but somebody did. And I met you at L'Arche, Marty O'Malley's organization here in Mobile. I know you've been a big part of that from the time you were little, throwing footballs. I used to watch you and Jeff Kelly. I was the guy that was down on the end admiring your guys' spirals at a young age. Do you remember when you started going there with your dad?
Yeah, I do. So I grew up on Georgia Avenue, which is down in the Oakley Garden District. And so the St. Joan of Arc Catholic Church was the parish where a lot of the L'Arche community would go to church, and then also would do a lot of support and just kind of volunteer work around there. And so the L'Arche house was, I want to say, a block or two away. And so honestly, I kind of grew up around L'Arche a little bit, and just, what Marty has done with that home and that group of people and his staff and the effort that they put out and given everything they got to these incredible group of people has been really inspiring from a young age. And so I literally, as long as I could walk and run, I remember being around the L'Arche community.
Well, I think it's awesome what you do for them, and used to always admire you and Jeff would always beat the adults. And I mean, you couldn't have been, I don't think, more than 11 or 12 when I first met you, and I was a little older. But also wanted to thank you for a message that you put out on April 15th, which is my late father's birthday, and it just happened to be Holy Week. You put it out on Facebook. I was driving, was getting ready to go find out if I needed to have surgery, and it was when Notre Dame Cathedral burned. And I pulled over, I read it again, and then I kind of reflected. And I think what you posted was, destroy the temple and I will raise it again in 3 days. I just wanted to thank you for that. And also, as a fellow Catholic, I guess the question for me is, how has your Catholic faith guided you as a son, husband, and father in your daily life?
Yeah, wow. Well, thank you for all that. That just blessed me right there. So, look, I mean, I'm a son of two parents that go to mass every day, and all my grandparents never miss mass on a daily basis. So I'm not quite as consistent as they are. I don't miss Sundays, and I try to go to daily mass when I can. But my faith is everything, and just the life that my parents lived, and how they lived their faith, and how they cared for our family, but also cared for so many people around us in the community. I just learned a lot about the commitment of faith, but also the service of it and the community of it, and just how that's when it's really rich, is when you share it, and when you give and receive it. And then also just the church in general, the world's divided and never more than it is now. And the Catholic Church is not flawless, but it is powerful, and it's an incredible charitable organization, the most charitable organization in the world, that is just doing incredibly good work for billions of people. So the ability to to have community, to have unity, doesn't matter if you're in Italy or North Carolina or Mobile, Alabama, or Afghanistan. If you go to church today, there'll be an Old Testament reading that's the same New Testament reading that's the same and a gospel that's the same, and there's power in that, right? And so, again, I just think it means everything to me and my family, and I appreciate you bringing that up.
Well, it's something that always comes up on Facebook memories. So Holy Week, I was kind of revisiting. I was in a bad place back then. And I just remember I said, I've got to share this because it's so profound. Catholic it's been something since I was an altar boy, all the way back to going to elementary school as a Catholic in Crestline, Ohio. And always admired your faith, and fellow girl dad as well. And
There you go. Good.
I
Pray
think,
for me, brother.
yeah,
need some
we,
help there,
we
but
both
no,
did.
it was good.
One day they're going to make your hair gray like me and Coach's, but not yet. It hasn't gotten you yet. But I'll turn it over to Coach. He had some questions too.
I appreciate it. Appreciate y'all letting the lone Southern Baptist jump into this conversation. And and speaking of that, I mean, one of my prized possessions from Larsh back in the day, the Lefty Anderson Service and Coaching Award. Wally made that for me many moons ago. I keep it in my office on my desk, so I see it every day, and very, very important to us. So David, quarterback guy, folks, I get wore out for years about being an option coach and running option teams, and folks forget I had 6 of my guys sign college scholarships.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I had 6 quarterbacks go play college football. So what you run ain't got nothing to do with it. Your skill set is what's pretty important, and your gene pool. And so being a quarterback guy, I know you've loved it your whole life, played it your whole life. But tell us about the beginnings of quarterback country and where this dream started, and how it evolved and gotten grown to where it is now.
Man, for as long as I can remember, I've been in love with the game of football, and probably just out in the front yard. There's 6 kids in my family. I'm one of 6. And so I have 2 older brothers, 2 younger brothers. And I mean, just being roughed up and having to always play up, and, my older brother, Elliot, was incredible. He's my best friend now, but back then he's 3 years older than me, but he always included me. I think that's a powerful thing, to always tell my oldest daughter to, hey, make sure you're including Meryl, my youngest, because it's really important, right? But I was always playing up. I was playing with them. I played quarterback my whole life, and then when I got out of school, I was a career second stringer at Ole Miss, 4-year letterman, but my dream didn't completely come true there, just to be honest. And so I was kind of hurt and burnt a little bit from ball. Got into real estate, was training quarterbacks on the side because, I loved it, and dads would ask me, and I said, yeah. And then over a period of time, my soul, I got soul in the game in football, and I got soul in the game at this position. And I love, real estate, and it makes the world go around, right? But I didn't love it like I love football. And so I just had to coach. I didn't know how, I didn't know what my classroom would be. But I knew that I wanted to be a teacher like you, Coach. And, and so I dabbled, coached at McGill for a while, and coached against teams that you led, and just incredible Davidson teams. But and then I was also doing independent coaching on the side, and I was doing real estate on the side. So I was doing 3 different things, and I kind of basically what I found was my classroom in which I could help the most and kind of give the most. And felt most comfortable was kind of this setting that was unique at the time. Now it's a little bit more mainstream, but kind of the independent space. And so, yeah, just didn't know what I was doing initially, because I don't think you ever know when you start out. And even though I was well coached in college by David Cutcliffe and around the Mannings my whole adult life, and still didn't know how to run a business and how to completely, coach quarterbacks from top to bottom. So it's been a complete education for me. And I feel like I learned as much, this Saturday when I was on the field as I did Saturday 15 years ago. So I just love football, man, and feel lucky to be able to be in the space.
And within that, I mean, tell us about a little bit about the technical aspect of it. I mean, if you get a kid that comes in 14, 15 years old, Do you sort of take that what they're doing foundationally and improve upon it? Do you start them over from square one, and do you do a little bit of both depending
Yeah,
upon where they are at the moment?
sure. Yeah, it's all of it. I mean, you've seen guys that have a natural stroke, right? And maybe they played baseball from a young age, and they just can get it in and get it out, and it's pretty. I think some kids really don't have a great strong foundation, and then others are kind of in the middle, right? And so I think each kid is different. I do think foundations of being a rotational athlete or being a quarterback or a thrower, the foundation is going to be very similar, right? Because we are all doing the same thing, but everybody's
Right.
not at the same place. So yeah, I mean, I think that's the magic of it all, and also the fun of it all. Every kid is an experiment, right? And every kid is kind of a new case study, and I
Mhm.
love that. I love that challenge.
Right. Right. And it's funny, you know, of course I'm 63 now, and the a book that I got when I was a young player was a Matter of Style by Joe Namath.
Okay.
And it talked about, and I've still got it around here somewhere. And it's got breakdown by breakdown of throwing mechanics of Namath in the 60s, and how and they said then, you throw in a circle, you don't throw over the top. That is not what they're teaching. Everybody is wrong. It is a rotational business, and
Yeah.
you rotate to throw the ball. And that was so far fetched. I mean,
Wow.
everybody was throwing it like Bart Starr. I
Yeah.
mean,
Right.
directly over the top. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, elbow rack by the ear.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, full extension. But I grew up with that book of rotational throwing. So I was always a rotational thrower guy, and taught rotational throwing, and hips and shoulders, and all those things. And got to spend time around David Cutcliffe also when I was coaching at an early age, and he believed in the same thing. So it was really cool to see it finally go that direction, and to prove that Joe Willie was right. I mean,
Yeah.
that he had it figured out before anybody else did.
That's incredible. I got an incredible picture of Namath jumping. It can't be
Mhm.
real. I mean, he's 5 feet off the ground, in full
Oh yeah,
extension. Just a beautiful picture of just how athletic he was. But no, man, that's good stuff. I mean, I think at the end of the day, we're always learning more about everything, as we get older. And so, yeah, throw mechanics have definitely evolved and changed, and I think it's a good thing.
how about strength training? How about strength training in terms of
Mhm.
developing quarterbacks and core strength? Tell us what you do with that.
Yeah, so much. I mean, speaking of, we just hired Josh Hampton, who was at the University of Alabama for 10 years, and then last year he's at IMG. But he did all the quarterbacks at Alabama for 10 years. So that's how I got to know him. When I was there with Jacob Coker doing pro day stuff. He was there when I was there with AJ McCarron actually initially, and then Mac Jones this last time. But yeah, I mean he trained Jalen Hurts and Bryce Young and Tua and all these guys. So we just hired him. He also led performance at the University of Alabama for baseball, volleyball, tennis, swimming and diving, and rowing. So this guy's incredible. When you talk about rotational athletes, a lot of us are the same, right? A forehand in tennis is
Sure.
very similar to a throw, right? And even base, balance, finish, deceleration, upper half, lower half, all that. So when you're training a quarterback in the weight room, it's just a little different now. So I think you're trying to there's obviously power generation, and there's everything that you'd want to hit to be strong, to be
Mhm.
balanced, to be equal as an athlete. But then, yeah, there is acceleration and deceleration that you can train a little different for a thrower. But in general, like what we do, if it's a high school kid and we think about performance, we basically want to give them what they may not be getting at the weight room in the high school simply because there's 100 people and they're on a strict schedule, right? So I mean, you guys, strength coaches around town are doing an incredible job of just getting so much in a short period of time. But usually, like arm care, is probably not a part of it, but just because of time. And then ballistic core, which would be kind of the ability to really kind of get outside of isometric core and really kind of get where you're throwing med balls and such as a part of it. And then just the ability to have hip mobility, I think, is a big part of being a quarterback. So if you can't, make movements functionally, then you're not going to be able to perform certain movement patterns. So I think part of it is just mobility, right? Whether it be the shoulder complex or your hips. And so a lot of what we're doing are this kind of supplemental for that type of a guy. When you get the high level guys that come in, we'll be in the weight room for an hour and a half, and you're doing a bunch of traditional things. And some guys are just different; they want to do all the Olympic lifts, and others, want to stay a little bit more, stay away from that and kind of focus on maybe more correctives or unilateral type movements. But yeah, I mean, it's different, but I think end of the day, like, I don't think a quarterback should in his brain think I need to be working out different than everybody else at the high school. I think that's totally wrong. I think he should be working out with everybody and leading his group. And in fact, he should be the dude, getting them going, and saying, let's do another set. I think that's as important or more important than getting all the rotational stuff in.
And I really, appreciate the fact that you do, because I've had guys go work with you, over the years, and it was supplemental. You were doing supplemental things, and we would talk about, okay, how do you teach a three-step drop? And I want to go in contrast with what you're teaching. We teach three-step drop every way known to man. We can drop the left foot back first, or we can go push off the left foot, step straight back. How do you teach it? So we reinforce what you are doing. We are not in conflict with you or competition with you or trying to undermine you. We're trying to assist you.
100%. 100%. I mean, look, anytime we're training a high school kid or a college kid or NFL kid, I'm not trying to change their feet. I want to know, first question is, hey, is your one step a punch one? Is it a rock one? Is it right foot forward? Is it left foot forward? Are you equal? And then that's what you're going to do. And by the way, then we're going to work on it and we're going to get you better at it, right? And if you got questions, and let's talk about it. But yeah, I would never try to change any of that. That just doesn't make sense, right? So yeah, they're coming here because they want to get extra work in, more work in what they're already doing. And look, man, I feel lucky to be just a small part of that extra time. And yeah, everything we're doing here should be complementary to what he's doing at the high school. And honestly, it is. Right. And I think we stay in our lane. We kind of stay. They're not trying to change what they're doing at the high school. In fact, we're just trying to really complement it.
Exactly, and you always did. I know my experience was that, and our guys got better through working with you. Even the hand fake or ball fake on play action passes, all those little things that you watch, and you know what? I was always fine with the guy who wanted to hand fake if his hands were monster. That's fine. You can hold the ball in one hand. That's good. Most of my guys' hands are smaller than mine. So you better keep both hands on that sucker when you're making a fake. I don't trust you with, or maybe I don't trust the offensive lineman behind you that they ain't gonna turn somebody loose while you've got one hand on the ball. So a lot of different ways to skin that cat, and I know y'all teach them all. Just depending upon what that particular coach wants to use and what they're doing in that program. That's good stuff. Really good stuff.
Yeah. I think that's important to be able to adapt. And look, a lot of what we do, we ask a lot of questions. Hey, how are y'all doing this? How do you like this? Where do you feel off on any of it? And if you do, man, let's talk about the why, and then let's really kind of talk about, kind of the explanation or definition of, these steps and what you're supposed to be accomplishing even. And I think sometimes just even getting more into the details really helps a kid say, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like, I'm already at 5 yards. I don't have to get a monster three-step drop. It's more about timing that three-step up with quick game or intermediate game or play action game or deep, right? And so it's all about that. And then, to see the light bulb go off, sometimes it's like, okay, great. He's going to go back and have a better week or whatever. Right. So that's the goal.
Yeah. And it's just when you see a guy that light comes on, all of a sudden he understands the rhythm of making a throw.
Yeah.
That it is rhythm.
Oh, yes.
And when the ball comes out and understanding that's cool stuff. From my perspective, last thing, let's talk about teaching quarterbacks, as I know y'all do some of this, about leadership and how to be leaders and being that guy that all eyes are on you all the time. Talk to us a little bit about y'all's role in that and how you help with that.
Yeah, I think I love that, Coach. I mean, that's why you coach, right? You help you hope to help guys get better. You hope to call forth their authentic leadership, and I think that's the real thing. It's like you can't fake leadership. Maybe you can fake it for a little while, but you're going to be exposed at this position, so your true colors are going to come out. Are you a bad body language guy? If you are, it's going to show itself. They come in just different personalities. I mean, we got introverts, we got extroverts, we got we probably got some that are a little bit of both or in the middle. I don't think they need to all be the same. I think end of the day, just to be confident in your own leadership style and just to be confident in the way that you do it. I don't think that comes easy. I think that takes tons of reps. And because you look, when you're a young guy and if you're a sophomore starting at a high school like a Davidson or McGill or whoever, Saraland or something, it's kind of intimidating. You got those seniors you've been looking up to for years. Well, faking it ain't going to get you there. I think what they respect is, who you really are. And so the quarterback position, you're a leader, whether you like it or not. And usually the really, really good ones, they welcome that leadership role and they kind of thrive in it. And I think sometimes it's innate or it's kind of part of their nature. And other times, and most of the time, you really see that leadership develop and get more comfortable over a period of time. So I love that aspect of it, and because I think you're always evolving there.
Well, and to follow up on that, I mean, that being an introvert or an extrovert has nothing to do with being the first one in the building, the last one off the field.
That's right.
Making sure all the weights are picked up and racked, picking up a piece of paper in the cafeteria. I mean, those things have nothing to do with your personality style. Nothing.
That's
and you mean that's leadership. Being the guy that picks the footballs up after practice when they're laying around, you turn around and just getting stuff done that you haven't been asked to do.
That's 100%.
That's how you win a team.
100%. I mean, I think you nailed that, Coach. I mean, that's where it's at. And those kids that do more, that ask you, hey, can I help you clean up, or or just start doing it before you ask them to. Those are special kids, man. They've been raised right. I mean,
that's right.
That's intentional. That's intentional. That's normally not just. They don't just think like that. Normally, they've been kind of, you've been on them, or I've been on them, or their parents, or hopefully, everybody. But when you see that kind of stuff, that's special.
And David, Coach and I are big fans of Riley Leonard, and I'll never forget watching him over at Fairhope High School. And Joe Godfrey, of course, my uncle is a big basketball guy, and I'm more of a football guy. And I texted Joe after I watched him. One year I watched him play basketball. The next year I watched him play football. I said, Joe, he's going to be a quarterback in the NFL. And Joe said, I don't know. Could you touch on that story because I think a lot of kids have that one football scholarship offer. Could you touch on Riley's story a little bit for us? Because Coach and I are big, huge fans of his.
Yeah, I mean, how could you not be? What an incredible kid, incredible family, real deal all the way around. Class, faith, integrity, hard work, all of it. They're incredible people. I still have Riley's dad, Chad, in my phone is Chad, because that's how I'll organize people on my phone. By the first thing I'll say is QB, right? And I'll say Chad, and then parentheses it'll be Dad because he's a dad. Right? So QB, Chad Leonard, Riley, 5th grade. This is that's how long I've been seeing that kid, and they've been coming across the bay. But I mean, Riley was just a eager competitor. Very receptive to being coached. It was, in fact, I think he loves being coached. And he's not too good for it even now. I mean, he's getting projections as a top 10 pick and all that. He wants to be coached up, and he knows that he needs to be. And but yeah, I mean, Riley's story. He wasn't heavily recruited after his junior year necessarily. He started getting some. That spring and summer, he started really getting. Stuff was really picking up. And then, so heading into his senior year, he was really getting a good bit of attention in football. And then it kind of came down to, okay, Duke. It was David Cutcliffe started recruiting him, who's the guy who coached me, and I think there's a ton of. He saw a lot of Daniel Jones in Riley, and I see it too. Coach Daniel, and just the coincidence that two Duke guys. There's a lot of similarities there, but then a lot of guys came in late. I remember it was Syracuse and a couple others that kind of tried to come in and snag them away, and so it was late in developing. A lot of guys get offers after their sophomore year. It didn't happen for him. Right after their junior year, a lot of guys get a lot of offers, and I think his was later into his junior year, into the summer of going into his senior year. So, but he made the most of it, and he's. I mean, look, man, for them to win 9 games there, 10 games there, and then they feel like they could have won last week at home versus Notre Dame. They're 4-1 right now, and coming off a bye week. So, yeah, he's got a bright future, and just an incredible kid.
Awesome. And I could say the same thing about the Daniel Jones look. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when I covered the Senior Bowl for a local media outlet when Daniel Jones was there, and was out watching them one day and got asked afterward, who do you think's the guy here? And I said, look, I don't know who the guy is, but that quarterback right there reminds me of a Manning. He just carries himself like one. His footwork, his release, he looks like a Manning, which is pretty natural since his coach, coached the Mannings. Yeah. He just looked like just another one coming off of that. And Riley looks the same way. He really does.
Yeah, bright future. Yep. Gonna be a lot of fun to follow.
No doubt. Brian, you got anything else there, partner?
I got nothing. We're close to wrapping it up, Coach. If you want to wrap up and.
David, one last. I mean, not that you need to promote quarterback country. I think we've got everything shy of quarterback country Europe going now. But anything that you want to throw in there, this is your chance, buddy. Besides the fact that we believe somebody needs to start offensive line country.
Coach and I want every position
better.
country.
We got to have better linemen around the country.
I'll plug that. We have OL country. Harrison Loudon runs it. Harrison started a ton of games, 40 games, I want to say, between his days at the Naval Academy in South Alabama. Played center, guard, tackle. He runs that for us. OLcountry.com. You can check it out.
Very good.
And so there we go, man. We're working there, Coach. But a lot of good offensive linemen around town. But yeah, so you can check us out at qbcountry.com. We're in 12 cities across the southeastern part of the country mainly, but Jersey to Dallas. And yeah, we start them young. I love it that we start them young. Sometimes I feel like we should go younger because there's a relationship there, there's a trust there, and then also there's just incredible foundations at an early age. So yeah, check us out there. Everything you can find is on QB Country. We're on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram at qbcountry.com. And man, feel fortunate to be part of this football-rich community down here on the coast.
Very good. Thank you so much, partner. We appreciate you taking the time today. Now you got somebody to work with. It's almost 3:30. It's about time to get back to work, ain't it?
About that time, Coach. But man, I appreciate you, and I really appreciate what you guys are doing, Brian. I appreciate you, buddy.
Well, thank you for coming on. We'll see you soon.
All right, guys.